always wanted a cool ultimate nickname. I wanted a nickname that had a level of clout or swagger before I walked onto the field. I mean, I like my name, Dominique Camille Fontenette, but I wanted a nickname that was like Surge or Mad Dog. But you never really want to ask for a nickname because you know what'll happen. Your teammates are going to give you a nickname like Pee-Pee Doo-Doo. We actually had a teammate, and her nickname was Pee-Pee Doo-Doo. And she I think got her nickname because she would laugh really hard and let a little bit slip. Or on like a tough layout, she would jump up and be like, "Oh, guys." But we quickly shortened her nickname to Pee-Doo. I like that nickname, and now we just call her Peeps. And I think that's a cool nickname. She's an awesome lady. Stephanie Barker was no different. She got her nickname in this kind of random way. The B fell off the back of her jersey, and then suddenly she was Arker from then on. And Arker was a nurse. She worked in Boston at a facility that primarily treated homeless people. When Katrina happened, she went down and volunteered her services there. She was very giving. She went to Haiti after the earthquake. She'd been to Africa a number of times working and as a nurse. And she was a teammate of mine on Brute Squad, and she was a friend, and she committed suicide this year. My girlfriend, Lisa, called to tell me. And when she called, somehow I missed the phone call, and she left a voicemail, and she never leaves me voicemails. So I knew something was up. And then the voicemail just said, "Call me." And so when I did, she told me. But I'm kind of in retrospect, I'm glad she gave me that message because it gave me a moment to kind of switch into my other life. So after she told me, I could hear her just give me some time on the phone, like there was just silence. And she was giving me time to express any emotion or any shock, and there was none. I mean, the only thing I could think to say, the only thing I said was, "I'm sorry." Because after the countless number of people I've had to talk to about the death of a loved one, the words "I'm sorry" seem to be the only words worth saying. So I have two lives. I have this one life, which is the ultimate life, which is the life that most of my friends know. And in this life, I'm Dom or Dominique, and I'm always joking about something, whether it's your butt or your boobs, or I'm making some inappropriate joke about your ethnicity. Or if I've met your parents, I've probably thanked them for copulating. I like to see the look on their faces when they hear that. And I mean, in this life, I feel the most me, and it encompasses everything that involves my friends and my family and ultimate. And then I have this other life, which is my professional life. I should sit up straight when I say this. In this life, I'm Dr. Fontenette, and people actually do what I ask them to do. I'm an emergency medicine attending physician at a teaching hospital, which means that I teach other young doctors how to practice emergency medicine. And I treat patients when they come into the emergency department. If they are having a baby or a heart attack, or if they've just been shot or stabbed or crushed or burned. And I try to keep them from dying. And when I can't, or when I decide it's time to stop trying, I go out and I talk to their mother or their daughter or their uncle, their partner of 90-year-old partner, 70 years, and I tell them that their loved one is dead. And I actually have to say the word dead or died because in this moment of surreal shock, like euphemisms just don't register. the human capacity for hope and denial is amazing. And words like, she's passed away, or she's no longer with us, I mean, it just goes right over people's heads. They think that I have moved their loved one to another area of the hospital, even when the evidence is completely clear. They just don't get it. So I keep these two parts of my life, these two segments, compartmentalized, mostly because I have to for my own health. I mean, you might see 2% of it come out on the ultimate field if someone dislocates a shoulder or they do something that I think I can actually be of assistance with. Otherwise, I say, you know, call 911. And, you know, other times, like, my teammates might ask me to tell them a gross or bizarre story, and I like telling them stuff and seeing the look on their face when I tell them about, like, the woman who cut off her own boob, or the people who shove stuff like shampoo bottles and things up in their bum. But for the most part, I keep that stuff tucked away. No pun intended. So, Arker, I feel like Arker, since she was a nurse, and she was kind of in these two separate, you know, kind of this dual perspective of life. It felt like we shared that. And I felt like she understood me, and I felt more like one person when I was around her. And sometimes we'd both be on the night shift, and we would find each other online on GChat at about 4:30 a.m. And this was the perfect time for me to GChat with someone that I actually knew, because this was a time at night when I started to lose my filter. And I would walk into a patient's room, and instead of like reaching out to shake their hand, I would like go for the fist bump. Or I would say things like, "That's what she said." It would just come out of my mouth without me realizing. And I've even blamed fart sounds on people. So, but, you know, besides that occasional drunk person who rams his or her car into a pole, at this time, the world is silent. It's shut off, it's quiet, and it was always nice to know that my friend was out there, but she was awake, and she knew the things that I might have gone through that night, and she kind of understood me at that moment. And I feel like I blinked and it all went away. It's like she's gone. So we had this memorial for her on the West Coast, in the Bay Area at Golden Gate Park. And it was small because most of her family and things were on the East Coast. And it was next to a pond, and there were little baby ducks in the pond, and there were about 30 people there. And some of them knew her, and some of them were just there to support the community. And there was some wine and some cheese, and people were just chatting. I spoke with some of my old Fury teammates, and it was nice to see them. And I got to chat with some old Brute Squad teammates, and I was just trying to keep the energy light. And Lauren Casey, this Fury player, was telling this hilarious story about her dog. And then we all decided to make a circle where we could say anything we wanted to say. And I told this story about Arker. I told about when we were on the East Coast and we were at practice and it started to rain. And we had to relocate fields. So we relocated to these turf fields that we weren't supposed to be on, because if you were an organized sports team, then you had to pay for the fields. So we just decided that we would just tell everyone we were playing pickup if anyone approached us. And of course, like while we're playing, this very authoritative guy like starts to walk across the field, and we delegate Arker to be the person to go talk to him. Meanwhile, you know, we're like, we have to keep playing. So we keep playing, but 99% of our attention is on this conversation that's happening on the sideline. And we hear the guy, like the first question he asks is, "Are you guys a team?" And Arker says, "Yes." And we were just like, oh. But at that moment, I think she realized what she'd said, and then she goes, "A team of friends." So we died laughing, obviously. And then it turned out the guy was just some neighborhood guy who was kind of excited to see people playing Ultimate because he used to play. Then Arker was the first person to come talk to me when I was new to Brute Squad. I had played on the in-town rival team for years, and after multiple failed attempts at trying to merge the two teams, I was the first and only person to jump ship and go play for the enemy. So I'm at my first Brute Squad practice, and I am sitting in the grass, putting on my cleats, and I'm feeling completely like an outsider and super nervous and anxious. And then Arker kind of walks up to me in this duck walk, and she asks me in this awful British accent if I wanted to see her fountain. And I was looking at her, and everyone on the team must have known about her fountain because immediately they got excited, and they're like, yeah, show her the fountain, show her the fountain. And she took a swig of water out of her Nalgene, and she balanced on one leg, and then she proceeded to squirt water out of a gap between her two front teeth as she spun around on that one leg. And in that moment, she was just so hilarious and so silly that I completely forgot about my anxiety about feeling like an outsider. Every once in a while, I still get really angry at Arker, and I get mad at her for ending our friendship so abruptly. But in that same moment, I think about my friend, and I think about how completely alone she must have felt before she killed herself. And I wonder if I'd taken those moments to tell her how much I appreciated her as a person and as a friend, and how much I loved her, whether she'd still be here. And in that same breath, I wonder which of my other friends are feeling the way she might have felt. Thank you.